All right, what you got?
So I'm just gonna throw this one at you.
All right.
And I already know the answer to this question. So maybe I'm gonna ask you this question and I'm gonna answer it for you. And you can tell me if I'm crazy. That sound good?
Yeah.
Is your glass half full or half empty? Wow, back again already for another podcast, huh, Trev?
Yep, we made it.
And it is cold in here today.
Yeah, quit trying to look through my shirt and see my nipples.
I know. I'm telling you, I said before we started, guys, that if you hear some teeth chattering, it's just because it's freezing up here.
Live from Antarctica.
Yeah, no shit. The North Pole.
The North Pole.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
What's up, bud?
Oh, not much, man. Just got back from California, went and picked up Lando over the weekend.
Right.
So he's back in the nest.
You get some rest, man. You were gone the whole time.
Yeah,
you
just go. That's all I do. I have gone to sleep pretty early the last couple of days. So
good.
I read a book. I'm reading a book, actually. It's an amazing book, but it talks about like the key to getting up early is just going to bed early.
Going to bed early.
So I'm like,
makes sense.
that does make sense.
Right.
So I go to bed early, but how you been?
I've been good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing with the drone?
Yep, out droning around, dude. Got me a new hobby.
Yeah, you guys got some. You got to see Trevor take some really cool footage with this drone. So for anyone who listens to us, our website is done, and I think it should be launching live maybe even by the end of this week. So by the time you hear this podcast. So it's just halfemptyhalffull.com.
Yep, making everything work. It's all coming together.
Yeah, you can apply to be a guest. Our audio episodes will be there you can listen to. And now you have the ability to ask questions.
Give us tips for shows, whatever
yeah.
you got.
If you want the most fucked up advice in life, just throw a question on the internet and we'll answer it for you. But well, let's get rocking and rolling. You know the drill, right?
Let's do it. Let's go through it, bud.
All right. Question number 1 for you, Trevor. What is your favorite movie quote?
Dude, there's too many of them. 'Twas no fish that ate your boy. It was a great white shark.
Ooh.
That's a good one, right?
Okay. I heard a classic over the weekend, and so I just threw it down, but I'm going to hit you with this one. If he dies, he dies.
I know it, but what? Oh, is that Rocky?
Rocky,
yeah,
Ivan
Rocky
Drago.
4. Dude, there's too many quotes out there just to say have one. Forrest Gump is full of them. Lieutenant Dan, you got new legs.
Don't get me started on like old school Major Payne or
Yep.
Spies Like Us, man.
Or tell me if you remember this one. What's a beautiful chick doing with a couple malakas like this? What can I say? She's into malakas, Dino.
I don't know.
Weird science.
Oh, geez. I love that movie, too. How do I not reckon? Only thing I remember from that movie is now your son's in the bathroom tossing off, and she goes, oh, Gary. And he goes, Ma, I swear I never tossed off.
I never tossed off. Or when they're driving in the car, and he's like, I don't even have my license, Lisa. She's like, yeah, he ain't even got his license, Lisa. Give me the keys. I'll drive.
Dude, you're just getting me off on a tangent. We got to do a movies one for sure.
Absolutely. That's why I say there's too many. All right, let me ask you one, dude. If you were visiting a new city, or when you're visiting a new city, what's the first thing you do?
Always work out.
Yeah?
Yep. I won't stay somewhere that doesn't have gym accessibility. So if I rent an Airbnb, I'll try to get like condos that have a clubhouse, or I'll just go to a gym and buy like a 3-day pass or a 5-day pass or whatever. Or I'll pick a hotel that's Brooke's job. Make her research the gym facilities at the hotels, and then that's what she's allowed to book rooms at.
Nice. You're going to smack me for my answer. First thing I usually do is step out of the car or the airplane.
Oh, geez.
I
I would have thought you'd have said smoke a cigarette.
Absolutely, dude. That's my yep.
Right?
First thing I do is smoke, light up.
Like,
a
here's
smoke.
your key, Trevor. Okay, great. I'll be
Great.
out back ripping a lefty.
I care less what the room looks like. Give me my smoke.
Yeah, no shit. Dude, for those of you who weren't at Noah's bachelor party, I just want to publicly apologize to the Clarion Inn for the fucking hot box that room took.
Dude, it probably still smells like gars up in there.
There's smoking rooms, and then there's rooms that smoke.
Yeah, and it's still smoking, most definitely.
Okay, let me ask you, what's the favorite app on your phone? What's your favorite app on your phone right now?
You know, I don't use a lot. Like, I don't Facebook that much. I'm not really TikTok-y or anything else. Probably, I know it sounds dumb, but my work app, I guess that's just my most used app.
All right.
Maybe something for my drone now, my drone apps, but I really don't app that much. I used to Angry Bird. I'd play games, but
Angry Birds is good.
Right, but I'm not too big on social media.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm not either. I am though. TikTok is my favorite app.
I know you're a TikToker.
I'm the guy that lays down and says, "Oh, I'm just gonna hit this for 10 minutes," and then I'm like, "What the shit? It's been 4 hours."
And then you can't wake up in the morning.
Yeah, no, I can get up for sure. That's not what I want to do with like 2 or 3 hours of my day is TikTok.
I can do that with YouTube. So I don't have a YouTube app on my phone, but it's on like the PlayStation. I go home and I YouTube. That's like my TV. So
Right,
yeah, maybe YouTube.
I'll give you YouTube.
YouTube.
All right, cool.
All right. Let me ask you one. Would you rather be a garden gnome or an elf on the shelf?
I'm going with Elf on the Shelf.
I have to as well.
Yeah, I guess the magic of Christmas would be better than sitting out in a garden with bugs and dogs getting pissed on.
Yep, that was my
mean?
first thought, dude. Getting pissed on by dogs, being cold.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're in a bitchin' garden, like surrounded by like peppers and tomatoes and jalapenos, you might enjoy it.
The only garden gnome that got any credit was the Travelocity gnome. So if you were the Travelocity gnome, it'd be all right.
The thing is, garden gnomes are kind of cool looking, man. The Elf on the Shelf's a scrawny, skinny little fuck, so I don't know.
Yeah, but the elf on the shelf's probably seen some shit.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that tells the good and naughty list to Santa, I think. So he's
Dude,
got
what if garden gnomes could talk? Like, what kind of like shit would you think they'd seen? Like burglaries and homicides and like crimes and all sorts of shit like that.
probably more neighbors' dogs. It's like, I'm gonna fucking kill the Jensen's dog. Fuck that dog.
Yeah. or like busting the neighbor going over and humping the dude's
Right.
wife.
If you guys knew what Jerry was doing every night at 3, man, I see some shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's probably a good thing gnomes can't talk. So, all right, last question for you. And then we're going to get into this. If you were going to bury a time capsule today, what would you put in it?
Man, maybe some kind of tech, maybe our phones, maybe my phone. It's got all your information on it. It's got pictures on it. It's got, everything that you need is right there on your phone, and the tech itself's kind of weird. So in a weird way, I think, yeah, just my phone.
Cool.
What about you?
I would put Lion in there, my dog. Just so.
That's fucked up.
No.
Like alive?
Well, I mean, like, I would think he's going to stay alive, but my thought process was 20 years down the road, someone would want to unbury it and like just have the joy of how cool he is.
He's not going to be that cool
Well,
anymore.
like I would like freeze him or something. Like I'm not just going to like bury him alive and kill him. Like this is a hypothetical game, man.
I know, but
So if I could freeze him in time, put him in a
Okay.
time capsule, so in 20 years someone can open it up and be like, "What is this cool little
Holy
fucker?
shit, look at this little
he's
dog."
bad as shit,
Right?
right? Yeah.
all right, that's a good
So,
answer then.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, of course, family and stuff. There's not really much I would want to take with me into the future. So
No,
just my pup.
that's what I say. Maybe my phone. It's got everything on it.
All right. Well, let's get into our topic for the day.
Do
Okay.
it.
It's kind of a 2-part thing, and it just when you go on a road trip and you're literally in a vehicle for like 24 out of 27 hours, you start randomly coming up with shit like to
Go
to
through
talk
everything.
about.
Right.
So we kind of had a lot of conversations about this, like me and Noah. Noah just got married, and so this is kind of good for him. But today I want to talk about connections, right? Like, so why, and how do you connect with somebody,
Okay.
and also cheating.
Right.
So I guess the flip side to that would maybe be like unconnecting.
Unconnecting.
I don't know if unconnections is a word. So I mean, when we're just free living, we can say unconnections.
That's right.
But
It's our show.
so that's kind of like the route I want to go today.
All right.
So let me just start off with like being a little bit cliche.
Okay.
Okay. Do you believe in soulmates? Like, do you believe like that this mythical, like fate type thing exists, that one person in the world was created for you as your soulmate?
Absolutely.
You do.
Yeah. But I think there might be more than one, you know what I mean? They're not just one soulmate. You might miss out on that opportunity down the road. But no, I believe in soulmates, most definitely.
I went the opposite way.
Yeah?
Yeah, I went absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I don't believe that fate, that some higher being crosses people's paths. 100% I believe that if you were to meet everybody in your category, if you will, right? Age, gender. I mean, in today's day and world, we got to talk about gender. Some people are, homosexual, heterosexual, they don't identify as a gender, whatever. Right. So everything that you would categorize why you would want to date someone. I believe there's just millions of people out there that you could be compatible with. So I think, and again, this is just my opinion, I don't have any scholastic marriage counseling, none of that shit, but I believe that real relationships, like those connections, just come from a lot of hard work, a lot of loyalty and honesty. I don't believe it's fate.
Okay.
So, and again, that's just my opinion.
No, I can follow you on that. That's why I'm kind of saying the same light. But when I say, yeah, absolutely, I just think that you've got a chance to connect with. There's so many people out there that, you know what I mean? There's got to be a million people that have your same interests and your same likes and your same, so that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, that's what's fun about this whole podcasting thing and just bringing up random topics like that is you and I can disagree civilly. And some of that too might just be like our upbringing, our backgrounds, our personal relationships, not just with our ladies, but with friends and family in our lives. And have we been burned or not burned, or,
And see, I feel like soulmates, not just in a relationship, like man, woman, man, whatever, I think there's soulmates out there for everybody, even your friends and stuff,
Right.
Are soulmates. There's just, I think maybe in a weird way, there's certain people that you are supposed to meet in your life. Maybe it's not fate. Maybe it's luck.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. I think that too, or coincidence,
or circumstance, situations. Some people move abruptly and don't know that they're gonna be doing that, and their lives change, and then pow, they meet all these people or whatever. So,
well, and think about it too, about the stages in your life,
right?
So, like if you're at a stage in your life where you're partying,
yep.
And you're at the club or the bar or whatever, constantly partying, you might meet someone who's also in that stage of their life, and you might think that's your soulmate.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know what all the scholastic jargon would be. I'm sure if you had degrees up the yin yang in this shit, like there's probably all sorts of phrases and words and shit that they use to talk about this stuff. But I just don't believe in fate. I think that you meet people and you click with certain people, and then the people that you want in your lives, you have to work really, really, really hard on both ends. Right. To make that relationship work or turn into what we'd call a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit then, Trevor. Like, this is probably a question that I get asked the most, is why or how or what's the reasoning that we get drawn to certain people?
Well, there's a million reasons.
I mean, looks obviously, right?
Yeah, looks play a big deal in it. Personality is probably 100% in mine. I'll take personality over looks any day. If I can't talk to you, what's the point?
That's probably because we're older.
Maybe.
It would be hard to go tell an 18, 19, 20-year-old to pick personality over looks.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just don't understand that 20 years down the line, after having kids and aging and stuff, looks become less important.
Right.
I mean, if you're just humping around, like you want 10s,
Right. Everybody wants that 10, but
right.
I don't know. Me personally, I'd rather be able to connect and talk to somebody,
Oh, I could see that. You're a different breed though. Like, you're real. kind-hearted and emotional and smart and like.
And I ain't that pretty, so I'm gonna give everybody a chance.
But you're educated too, like right, like maybe not paper wise,
Right.
but I'm not a big believer in paper degrees anymore. Like I obviously, if you need to get one to accomplish like your career that you want to be a lawyer, doctor, surgeon, whatever. But I'm more about on the job training,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
Like learning about real life. And you're
Hands on.
Yeah, and you're super smart, like with that kind of stuff. But again,
Thanks,
that goes down to you spend a lot of time researching. And the thing I like about you is you're very opinionated, but also open-minded at the same time.
Right.
Like no one will ever change your mind on aliens and the weird shit you like
Nope.
to believe in, but you also don't frown upon other people that have different opinions or thoughts, and that's the way it should be, right?
Exactly, and that's what I love about everybody is we've all got our different opinions and our different views, and I don't like being so closed-minded that I couldn't think of anything else. I love being open to new stuff. It's like being a kid and finding magic in something new that you've never seen before. If you look at something from a different view or whatever. And so that's I don't know.
Believing in the Trevor on the shelf.
That's right.
Well, okay, so let's take looks out of it.
Okay.
I just want to because I think initially, especially if you're talking romantically, I mean, hopefully you're not picking your friend, but I mean, you might if you're into the gym, you might not want the sloppy couch potato guy,
Right,
like maybe,
right.
but I think we could all agree that initially when we look to a romantic partner, we're obviously first attracted physically.
Yep.
Some way, right?
Yep. You got to be. Yeah. The looks are a big thing.
Right.
You've got to be physically attracted to them. You don't want to be sitting there with some mud duck and just because
Yeah.
they can make you laugh and just feel good all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just take that off the table.
All right.
So let's talk about how we get drawn to people and how we start to develop connections beyond looks.
Age and smarts is a big thing with me too. Like there's no way that I'd be able to date a girl that was hella younger than me. And no offense to anybody out there, but the connection's just not there. You know what I mean? I don't want to be talking about TikTok shit and the latest
now.
dance. I don't have to date you, bud.
I thought you loved it when I send you this. It's a Ford fucking Ranger.
I do love it, but like I said, I don't have to connect with you in any other way than Ford fucking Ranger. And so, yeah, for me, I wouldn't be able to date someone that was just uber young, into all the young stuff, or even older for that matter. Could you, if you weren't in your situation, could you date someone that was 20 years younger than you?
No.
Wouldn't happen.
20 years? That'd make me a creep, bro.
Some people do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with it.
I say all the time, man. Like love has no boundaries, at least in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, obviously, like 14 years old kind of shit, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like it's not for me to decide if somebody's 20-year or 30-year younger or older relationship is good or not, right? Because I don't think relationships are built around age. But I do agree with you. So to answer your question, I don't know. Like the thought of ever even dating anyone else is weird to me to begin with. But I think it would just depend on if that person 20 years younger than me fit into
how you thought and how you
someone I could be compatible with.
That's why I say it's not everybody out there, but just in general, that's one thing that I wouldn't be able to
Kids
do.
are annoying now.
Yeah, I can't stand them.
Yeah.
That's horrible, but yeah.
That's true. So then I think we can both agree that communicating or feeling comfortable and easily being able to talk to somebody
Yep.
is what probably starts building that connection,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Also, I think rooting yourself in each other's lives,
Yeah.
right? Whether that's kids, stepkids, activities, work, family.
And being able to do it all evenly, to where, yeah.
I like that, evenly, 50-50.
50-50 evenly. Because it has to be 50-50. If I don't want to be with somebody that's not, we've talked about this before, that doesn't want to share my successes or my things that I get happy about, just like it'd be lame for someone to be with me if I wasn't into what they like to do or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's got to be hard.
100%.
I've seen relationships where people, yeah, there's no connection there. And it's like, why? It's got to be 50-50.
Well, so that's what people always say, though. Like, that's what's kind of weird about this, and why, I guess, kind of why I wanted to talk about it, and a little bit of what we were talking about is just being connected to somebody, like, right, or just feeling that, I guess. Like, feelings, I don't know if there's a reasoning behind it, but and again, so you know, these are just all my opinions.
Right.
Like, I'm not educated on this subject. I'm just
Free living.
Free living.
We're just free living.
But like, so you talk about, people always say, like, I don't know, I just feel a connection, or I just feel it, or I just feel a connection. Like, what? And it's just really that's why even in Noah's wedding, one of the lines I wanted to put in there was, like, that's what love is, in my opinion. It's just a feeling. Like, it's indescribable, it's unexplainable. Like, you just feel it. Right. And I think being connected to someone is a lot of the same, right? I meet a lot of people. So why is it, like, let's just take romance out of it. Let's just talk about me and you. Out of all the people that have been in our lives, and we have such different pasts and such different upbringings, and we came from different states, and we both ended up here, and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, right, all the things that led our past to finally cross whatever years ago over an airsoft gun. Okay. How is it that you and I feel connected or stayed connected where all the other people didn't? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't sit here and say, well, according to so-and-so's theorem of connectivity.
Right, because there's a million good people out there.
Right.
Yeah, you meet a million, good people every day. Why is it that you and I connected like we did? And I in our situation, I think it's our connection. It's just, maybe it's a I don't want to say chemical thing. Maybe it's,
well, like we just talked about, though. We're comfortable. We click. We talk. We get along.
We have the same energy.
Right. We fight sometimes, whatever. We're deeply rooted in each other's lives.
Right.
Although we're still kind of not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, yeah, it's just a connection. I can't explain to you why I like you and not somebody else.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know what the answer to that would be. And so I think when it comes down to romantic partners or friendships, or even relationships with your kids, right? Like, do you, it's probably pretty common to have different relationships with your,
even your own children.
With your own children.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that you like one better or anything else. It's just you connect different. I think it's energy, dude. Maybe that's what it is. It has to be energy.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Yeah. Like, magnets or some shit,
I like that answer.
Yep.
That would be, I wish we could have like a relationship expert on.
Fuck, right? Is there one? I mean, did Dr. Laura die? Let's get Dr. Phil on here. Absolutely, Drew.
Dr. Phil.
So why do you like this dirtbag Trevor? Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on and talk about healthy relationships.
Healthy relationships.
So healthy relationships obviously is the goal.
Right.
Right. And that has to come from developing like those connections, those emotional connections. Because remember, we're not talking about looks anymore.
Nope.
We're just talking about emotional connections. So having a healthy relationship comes from, I guess, healthy or successful emotional connections.
Right.
Right. Because without an emotional connection, you really can't get close to somebody.
Right. I think honesty plays a big deal with that. I think being giving and being open plays into that. You got to be able to see both sides of, I got to be able to see where you're coming from on a bad day or a good day or whatever. Same, vice versa, or even with your spouse, when have you ever walked in the room and you haven't even seen, say, Brooke's face, but you just know she's pissed?
Yeah, that's like every day of my life.
Or you just, or you just know that she's happy. It's like an intuition thing. The best way I could describe it was like with my mom. You know what I mean? Hell, I could walk into the house alone and just pick up on the vibe of what was going on in the house. I didn't even have to look at my mom. I opened that front door and it's like, oh, I'm just going to go to my room for
energy's real.
And it's energy.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. healthy relationships too, like kind of go back a little bit what you talked about. You used the word evenly. I said 50-50, but I really think that's probably the strongest foundation for a relationship.
Right.
Is realizing, and 50-50 doesn't mean 50-50 in every situation. There's things that Brooke is like 90-10 or 100-0 on me, and I don't know if I would say vice versa, because she's pretty amazing. But I do think like a balance.
Right.
Is that a good way to say it? 50-50? Like filling in the other's strengths or weaknesses?
Yep. My brother told me, and he put it in a really good way, that it's constant in relationships. It's constant maintenance. You know, it's like your car. You know, your car's not going to run perfect all the fucking time. You know, so there's got to be a little bit of maintenance in there. You know, you got to check the brakes, got to make sure it's got oil. You got to wash her up every once in a while. You know, you got to make sure she's looking pretty. It's all that kind of stuff. You know, it's that constant little maintaining.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal metaphor. Hang on to that too, because I think that's going to fit in here in a little bit as we get down into maybe the unconnecting.
Okay, yeah, maintenance,
right?
maintaining.
And we talk about at some point, do you just have to buy a new fucking car?
Sometimes you have to buy a new car.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I just want to finish real quick talking with you just about healthy relationships, because I think this is important for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, when we use, and again, a lot of this is based around romantically, or I would say husband, wife, wife, whatever, because that's primarily like the main relationship in maybe in people's lives as they get older and get to that point. But this stuff can transcend and go to all relationships,
absolutely.
Siblings,
yep,
cousins,
yep,
whatever, friends. But the goal, whenever, at least for me, and again, I'm going to keep saying my opinion, the goal is healthy relationships.
Yep.
Right. So let's use the word toxic.
Okay.
Right. If you're in a toxic relationship or an unhealthy relationship, that's not good.
No.
That doesn't mean to throw in the towel. You know, for sure, people can work around those things and work to get better and get to a healthy relationship.
Right.
Okay, but the goal always should be healthy relationships.
Well, of course. Yeah.
And so being a split 50-50, there's nothing more depressing, I think, than feeling like you're doing all the work. Right? Like that's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, when you feel like you've got everything on your back, not just financially, but you know, everything.
Right.
Yep.
Emotionally, yep. Cooking, cleaning, chores, laundry.
And it starts with that little stuff that turns into unhealthy. You know, when you, for example, when you start feeling like you're pulling, 70%, not 50, or gosh, it feels like I'm carrying 90% of the weight, But a lot of that could be just your perspective of it, because maybe you're not. Maybe you're being a douche canoe and you're not pulling the weight. You just think that you're doing so damn good, You need that. So you need that look from the outside. You know what I mean? There's a lot of times where I think I'm doing stellar, and not just in my relationships, but whatever I'm doing. But it's maybe I get complacent. People get complacent in their relationships and stuff.
It's easy to do that.
It's really easy to do that. And if you're not willing to step back and look inside yourself for a minute and be able to, take a couple mental notes and be like, wait a minute, I could do a little bit better. You could always do a little bit better, I think, And so being able to step out of yourself and seeing your just how you think that you're doing,
right,
and to get a look on that, it's that maintenance, man.
Okay, so part of that too, like some of the tips maybe I think to getting to the point of healthy relationships would be caring about the needs of the others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one, right?
Yep.
Because I think, and I'm guilty of this a lot. Like it's we live in a world where it's just super. Well, let's just talk about like no judging.
Okay.
Right. Like I wouldn't say I'm judgmental, but I will get defensive very easily. And it's just that's a big no-no too. When you start not caring about other people's needs, or just judging the situation incorrectly.
Right.
Kind of like what you were saying. You might think you're pulling all the weight. The other person might think they're pulling all the weight. I guess the question is, what's the weight?
Right.
You know, I think that's where everything gets fucked up, right? Like, that's the best way I could describe it. Like, your weight might be different than the other person's weight.
Yeah, it could be all emotional, per se.
Right.
You know, I could be helping you out in all the financial aspects of things, you know, helping you out with gas money or you know, paid for dinner, this, that, but my emotional side isn't there.
Right. And you think you're pulling all the weight because, oh, fuck you, I'm paying all the bills.
Yep.
Like, I got us this house, we eat, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and
but did you listen to me when I said, hey, I love you and this and that, and I had a hard day type shit? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, man, we're fucking good.
God damn.
We should get on someone get on our website and like apply to come be a guest and get some marital advice from me and Trevor.
That's right. I want to see that certificate on the wall.
Yeah, I'm gonna make one. Do you remember the movie Benchwarmers where he holds up that birth certificate and it says, I am 10?
I am 10.
It's all in crayon. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna hang one up that says I graduated.
Hell yeah, dude. We could sell it. Get people thinking that we're experts on everything.
So track back with me a minute. We talked about being drawn to certain people. We talked about being comfortable and talking easily, being able to communicate, talk with them. Right. So part of having a healthy relationship then is sharing openly.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And not being so reserved. You've got to let some of your skeletons out, you know. Opening up and letting people in, most definitely, because it's hard for people to connect to you if you're not letting them in. You know, I know myself, if I'm with somebody and something's gone down and they've built up their walls, we all do that. We all build up our walls and stuff, you know, for whatever reason. But I'm not going to sit there and tire myself out trying to climb over your fucking wall just to make you happy. You know what I mean? You got to be able to bring that wall down a little bit.
Right. So when we talk about sharing openly, what goes like really hand in hand with that? If you're going to say, we can have a healthy relationship if we are 50-50, if we care about each other's needs, we don't judge, but most importantly, we openly share everything, then what has to happen?
You got to listen.
Boom. That's a big one.
Yeah. You got to be open. You got to listen.
If I had to pick a fault of mine, I would say that's what it is.
Is listening, being able to hear.
Yeah, I'm just stubborn, and I wish I wasn't, and it's something I really try to work on. I wouldn't say, you know, I mean, I'll hang my certificate. I'm gonna graduate listening school today too.
Right.
Hang my certificate on the wall, but that's a big one.
It's huge. Yeah.
You just touched on it like just a few minutes ago when you said, like, we were talking about finances versus emotional weight, and you were like, yeah, you're just not listening to like what the real weight is or what the real issue is.
Yep.
Right. So that's a big one.
That's huge. You got to be able to open yourself up and be able to actually not just listen, but, you know, see what's really going on in your other's head, you know. But another thing is you got to realize that you can't fix everybody either. You can't fix every problem. There's going to be certain problems that you just can't fucking fix.
Right. So the beauty of having a healthy relationship is you get kicked in the nuts together with those problems.
Sacrifices. Yep.
Right.
Yep. You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
You got to share those sacrifices together, most definitely.
Yeah. I think a big thing too is, and for me anyway, in my opinion, is little details.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many little details in relationships that just get lost, right? Because people will focus on kids or money or, I don't know, work. Probably some of the big ones, right? Like that might be the three-headed monster, right? Would be your jobs, your finances, and whatever, your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. If I was writing a textbook, which I might do after this fucking podcast, that's what I would call it, the three-headed monster. But what about all the little things?
And that's just it. You know, people say, hey, don't sweat the little shit. You know, don't let the little shit get to you. But sometimes it's that little shit that turns into big shit.
Right? And
you know,
sometimes
that's
it's
a double-edged sword.
Yeah, because the other side of that is by neglecting the little stuff,
Yep.
right? That it's those things that might be important to somebody.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say,
You know?
those little things can turn into big things really, really quick.
Yeah. So little details, I think, is important.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, let's get into maybe the shit part of this just a hair.
Okay.
Okay, and we talked about this at the beginning. We talked about the unconnection, right, or the unhealthy relationship. And the reason I want to talk about this is unhealthy relationships will then, I mean, they're just toxic, which makes life miserable living in a toxic cloud. But also, too, when it comes to like romantic relationships, a lot of times it can lead to one or the other person cheating, right? And then from there, you know, so my advice to somebody
Time
is,
to sell the car.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Like talk about, you know, you can do all the maintenance, you can wash it, you can change the brakes, you can change the oil. But if the car just is a piece of shit,
Yep.
and it starts to become where you just can't keep it on the road and keep it reliable and keep it running, like it might just be fucking time to get a new car. That doesn't mean, well, let me ask you this. Do you think divorce, or do you think splitting up, right, separating, whatever, do you think it's always a bad thing?
Not at all. No. There's people that go into relationships thinking that they're perfect, but they're toxic from the get-go, you know? And so that separation's been the only thing that was good for the relationship, in all honesty. You know, a lot of people go into relationships and with expectations on both sides, and they just never get met, you know what I mean? And it's like a constant battle, and so that makes it hard. So that separation, divorce is not just always a bad thing. Not a lot.
I agree. It sucks.
It sucks, and
especially
it's hard.
when you have kids and you're busting up a family maybe. But I think if you're emotionally checked out, right, then I guess let me backtrack. Let me caveat that just by saying this. I don't think you shouldn't try. So I'm not saying you just have a fight.
Yeah,
and
you
you're
don't
like,
just give
I'm
up.
checked out. Drew and Trevor said I should get divorced. Right. I believe, like you brought it up earlier, I'm a big fan, and I have never gone, but I would if I had to. But I'm a big fan of counseling.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you said, sometimes you just need that neutral party to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or, hey, I'm sitting here with you for an hour and I can already tell you're not listening to her, or you're not listening to him.
Yep.
You know, so I do think if you want, and that's why I said earlier, like if you want, like just because you have some toxic points or you hit some walls or shit happens in your relationships, that doesn't mean just cash it in, unless you don't want to even try. If you're to the point where you don't want to try, like if it's not important to you to do what it takes to have a healthy relationship, then yeah, I think you need to end the relationship 100%.
And in the same time, you know, banging your head against the wall over and over and over again and expecting different results, you know, that's what insanity is. And so to keep doing that, you know, isn't good either. So.
We'll talk about like other circumstances too. Let's just bring up Big Al's situation.
Okay.
Right. You know the situation with him, right? Wife, I don't know, he's been married 2 or 3 years or whatever, embezzled all that money, got caught, whatever, just got convicted. I don't know all the details of the story, but in any event, she's in jail now. Mm-hmm. Not sure if she's going to get out or go to prison. Don't care one way or the other. But that was a tough pill for him to swallow.
Yeah, his whole life changed, man.
Right. So we started talking a lot about this, you know, and I'm kind of the realist of the group, you know, and I don't pull any punches with him.
Right.
Right. Like he's kind of a grouchy giant bear. And so nobody ever wants to poke the bear. I don't give a fuck. I'll poke him all over the place because, and so we had some heart-to-hearts about that. And he's filing for divorce now.
Oh, are they?
Right. Yeah. And he should, you know, I don't know that that's something you can come back from. right? That's not having a fight or disagreeing on something. That's
a
like
life-changing.
And you're breaking trust and honesty,
Yeah.
you know, and he said that he went through her phone and found that she's been cheating on him with a bunch of dudes in Texas or something like that. Again, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn because I don't have any proof of this. I'm just kind of repeating the conversation. So, you know, basically in a summary, he'll say like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't want to be married to someone who's cheating on you, who's stealing from you, who's stealing from other people, that, you know, that kind of stuff. Right. Like, and so I think I got through to him. So, but there's people out there that say, oh no, divorce is not an option. That should be an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If you don't want to be with somebody, life is short, right? Like why do you try to stick it out for like the wrong reasons? I think I think relationships, and again, this is where I probably would differ from anything you'd ever learn in social work school or whatever the fuck school they go to, is I think that if you don't want to be in a relationship mentally and emotionally and all that, you should get out.
You should probably get out.
It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the other person to kind of just fake it till you make it either.
Right.
I would say the other person on that, whether it's a kid or a spouse or a friend
or a job or whatever the circumstances are,
I believe the other side of that coin is that they deserve
their happiness.
Right.
Yep.
You're cheating them too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what's your thought on that?
No, I feel you. You know, you're kind of robbing both each other of what you could potentially have. And that's why I say, you know, beating your head against the wall repeatedly, expecting different results, and it's not happening. That's just your own damn fault, you know, and life is too short. You are going to waste a lot of time just with the shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know. If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass every time it jumped type of deal, you know.
Fuck, where do you come up with this shit? Dude, that's so good. A frog wouldn't bump his ass.
That's right, man. If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass, you know. Ifs, wouldas, couldas, whatever.
Dude, if anyone listening has one of those cricket machines, can you make a sign that says that?
If a frog had wings.
Yeah. So let me just guide you down the other part of this. And we talked about like the unconnection part, right? Some people do the right thing and they just file for divorce and they co-parent and they're very civil about it. I know a lot of those people too.
Right.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say a lot. I would say the majority just start cheating.
Yeah.
They just start looking for all the things that's lacking in their own relationship elsewhere.
But that ain't right either, you know. Obviously, it's not right. You know?
Right. But my point is, let's just talk about it for a minute. Mm-hmm. What do you consider cheating? Do you think mental, flirting, or does it have to be physical?
I think flirting's flirting, man. We're humans. And I think, yes, there's limitations to flirting, obviously, but a little bit of flirting is fine on both parts. That's the way I look at it. Okay. I'm not too much of a jealous person anyway. I don't get jealous of shit too easily, I guess. And so flirting wouldn't be a big thing, but no, it's a mental thing, like you say. It's a physical thing.
So if you think about, and again, this is 1,000% hypothetical, but let me just ask you. So you see a girl at the bar or wherever you go droning at the park with your dog,
okay,
right? And you think she's just incredibly gorgeous, or maybe you've kindled a friendship with her, right, through the gym or through whatever, a drone Facebook
the dog
group,
park or whatever, right?
Okay, and so you see her, and instantly you think in your mind, man, I want to put the wheels to her.
Right.
You don't ever act on it. Maybe you don't even flirt with her, but you just, in your mind, you're like, man.
So is that cheating?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm getting at. I guess in a weird way it could be, you know, for as much as maybe you wouldn't think about it at the time, but that's, it's a fucked up thought to have. I wouldn't want my significant other thinking of that, you know, thinking that way of other people. So I would, I maybe in a small way, I think that's cheating. Like if you're actually crossing the line thinking, God, I'd really like to be with that person.
Yeah.
You know, then maybe you're not in the right situation.
Okay, so let's take it a step further now. Now you run into Mystery Girl at the dog park, and you guys are friends.
Right. But you're doing little shit for each other now. Now, oh, hey,
Yeah. Well, now you cross the line. And,
Right.
And then she's like, man, if you weren't married, and you're like, oh, yeah, if you weren't married, or maybe she's not married, or one of you is not married, I don't know. You know, now you start talking about, fuck, if you weren't married, I'd rip your clothes off, put a blindfold over Boots' eyes, and take your drone and record the
Some dirty
next,
shit.
you know, XXX porn.
right.
Right? You don't act on it.
Right. That's
but-
cheating.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
Okay.
That's all there is to it.
That's 100%.
Yeah.
So very casual flirting, okay, in your book.
Yeah.
And then obviously physical.
Yeah, that's just a given.
Even kissing,
Yeah.
the small brush on the arm
Mhm.
or the tickle on the back or whatever.
Right.
That's 100% cheating.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
I don't know, because I'm a real physical person and I touch a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly grabbing
but not
somebody's
sexually.
shoulder.
not
No,
sexually.
No, not sexually.
Like, but
no.
if you went up to a girl
Or
and
just
you
grabbed
and
her
you
ass
were,
or whatever,
or not that, but if you just like caressed her arm, like,
Right.
oh, you're so funny,
Pulled
dog
some-
park woman,
pulled some Joe
know,
Biden shit,
you know,
sniffed her.
yeah, boob grazed her,
Yeah.
you know, as you were throwing a ball for Boots. Oh, sorry, wrong ball,
Wrong ball.
you know. But yeah, like, so, I mean, there's a difference between hugging people because you're friendly and hugging people or touching someone with bad intentions.
In somebody's eyes, I think we both know somebody who was in a relationship, and had they had hugged somebody else in front of them, that
Oh yeah,
holy moly, that would have been World War IV. You know, I know.
Smokey the Bear. That's what I call him now.
Oh, Smokey. Okay.
When you light a fucking Airbnb on fire, you get the nickname Smokey the Bear, and you know who the fuck you are.
Oh yeah.
No, I know.
Oh, I know. But in that kind of situation, you know, I guess that's on the person, because I know situations like that to where, yeah, you might think that you're just in the right, giving somebody a hug, oh, hey, how are you? You know, but then your others see it like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, that's, I guess from
But hugging someone as your friend
that should be allowed.
versus I'm at the dog park and I want to hump this chick,
and
so I'm going to
right.
pretend to hug her as her friend.
Right. That's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so I can, smell her or feel her skin or something, right? Like that, that's some Criminal Minds kind of shit right there,
cheating,
right?
Yeah. Social media plays a big part in that, you know.
Yeah.
And-
How many relationships are ruined over Facebook?
Yeah.
Like an ex-girlfriend finds you on Facebook, and I would imagine this shit starts all the time, right? And like, oh, I can't believe, that's happened. I miss you so much. And then boom.
I was thinking about you the other day.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you think people end up to that at that point? I guess that would be the whole purpose I kind of wanted to talk about, right? Like if you want to have a healthy relationship, that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talked about some ways to maybe accomplish that,
Right.
but it doesn't work. And you get to a point where, because there's people that will justify cheating going on, well, we didn't have intercourse, so technically we didn't cheat. And I'm kind of with you. I think the instant that Brooke mentally wanted to ride another dude's hog, that's at that point, like she's cheated on
You're
me,
cheating. Yeah. You're cheating.
because I mean, this sounds really weird and maybe doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but I've had the most amazing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me to talk about like relationship advice, because like I've been so fortunate and so lucky, to just hit the jackpot day one, that I don't know how to, like, that's why I always go back to the statement that if you're in a situation you're not happy, you deserve to find your Brookles. And I would say rip the Band-Aid off and do it. But I'm
Right.
kind of with you too. Like, I don't know that I would be crossing the line of giving you a handy J at the dog park, you know, just because, and justify it by going, oh, well, my husband's a dick or my boyfriend's a dick or, you know, whatever the case is. Right.
Right. This is kind of off the side. Do you guys give yourselves, your fantasy partner, like a movie star or something like that? You guys don't do that?
I mean, we did the question here.
Right.
That's, we talked about the list,
that,
like your
right,
celebrity.
yeah.
No, like I have my fantasy partner.
Right.
Right? Like there's no one else I'd rather do, you know, like
right.
not do. That's yeah, sorry, baby. But there's there's nobody better.
Right.
So when people ask me, like when they're like, well, how did you know you wanted to propose? Like when I felt it in my bones that it would not get better than this.
Mm-hmm. That's when you knew.
Then I was like
100%.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't need anything more.
Don't need to look for anything else. It's there.
I mean, maybe there's hotter girls out there. Maybe there's nicer girls out there. I don't know. I fell head over heels with the most amazing person and knew that it would not get better.
Right.
And so I was great with that. But a lot of other people aren't. So that's my question. How do you end up? Because at some point, and even if it's short-lived, at some point, if you get married or enter into a relationship, even if it's because you get knocked up or whatever, but at some point, like even for a split second, you had to have felt something for that person.
You're right. Some kind of spark somewhere. Right? Yep.
So how do you go from that feeling to the point of wanting somebody else?
It could be 100 different things, you know. It could be that not carrying 50-50. It could be the not listening. It could be, you know, a whole bunch of different shit. You know, that's all plays into however the relationship plays out, really. Or some people just get fed up. Some people are just pricks. You know, some I guess dudes and girls for both causes, you know, just want to play the field. You know, they get bored in their relationships, I think.
Boom. I think you hit the nail on the head. You get bored. So it's exciting to get back into the flirting.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that flirting that you were saying is okay generally turns into the mental part of it,
right,
which generally then starts with a small physical thing and most likely will lead to intercourse or the ultimate knife, right?
Right, yeah.
So excitement or the taboo of it, maybe.
Right.
We talked a little bit earlier, too, about I think you might find yourself drawn to somebody else that has the exact trait or thing you're longing for in your own relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like fulfilling something that's lacking in your current relationship.
Most definitely.
Part of it, too, is like what you said earlier, going back to the car thing. I just think people stay together too long and for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And then it gets stagnant. Shit just gets stagnant. Nothing changes. No one, you know, the other one doesn't listen. The other one's not going to help out with money. The other one's not, you know what I mean?
Right.
But because they feel like they're so involved and tied in together, they have to stay together. I get it.
Yeah. And that's usually two reasons. What?
Usually two reasons
why people stay together,
right?
For the wrong reasons.
For just being money is a big one. Kids,
yeah,
you know what I mean. The family,
yeah,
you know,
that's it. Like probably
religion's a big one. There's there's a lot of families out there that get together and their religion just will not let them get divorced, and then you know what I mean. And then they're unhappy for years and years, and they raise kids that are unhappy and see unhealthy relationships in the way that their parents never loved each other, you know. So that goes back to your question: is it wrong every time to get divorced? Absolutely not. You know.
Yeah, I would never stay together for finances. No. I would rather be poor
and happy
and living on a buddy's floor or sofa,
yeah,
and out of the toxic cloud than having my house and not wanting to go home.
Dude, I'd rather be poor, ugly, and happy my whole life.
Well,
I'm halfway there.
3 out of 3.
Yeah.
But kids is a tougher one.
Yeah.
So money is easier for me to say fuck it. You don't need the money. It's not worth sacrificing your happiness over. Go, downsize, sell your shit, go be broke, scrape it out, whatever. Get a second job, right? Like Big Al just had to pick up a second job. I mean, obviously his relationship fell apart for a different reason, but he just he doesn't want to work an extra 30 hours a week, but he's like, fuck, I got no choice.
He's got to.
So he did it. Kids is a little different.
Right.
And Alan and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, because he's recently split up and he's doing the 5 days on, 5 days off thing with his ex-girlfriend.
With the kids?
So he gets them for 5 days and then she gets them for 5 days.
Right.
Right. And so this is the whole theme of our podcast. Is your glass half empty or half full? Right. So he said, no, he said it sucks because then I don't get to see my kids for 5 days. And I said, but then you get your kids all to yourself for 5 days. So is your glass half empty or half full?
Right.
Fucking weird, right? But so that makes sense to me. But to your point too, I think my answer or my advice to somebody would be, how unhealthy is that relationship?
Is it mendable? Is it fixable? Right. Is it worth fixing?
Right. Is it if it's just you kind of fell out of love, but you're still friends and shit like that, and you choose to stay together for the best interest of the kids, and you're not so miserable. Maybe you're just lacking like a little bit of physical intimacy and things like that, and you want to sacrifice that for your kids. I get it, but when you are just flat not in love and you're miserable, I don't think you're doing your kids justice.
No.
Right. And people will justify it by, I don't want them to have to change schools, and I don't want them to this, and I don't want to put them through a divorce, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, kids are resilient.
Yeah. Kids bounce back.
I think the more important part of that would be
setting a good standard.
Exactly.
Showing them a good picture on how to have healthy relationships. Yeah.
And being able to say, Mom and Dad aren't happy and healthy together, but what we are is still your parents, and we both love you. And so we're going to go our separate ways, but we're always going to make sure you're the focal point.
Yeah.
And we're going to co-parent, always in the best interest of the children.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's my take on it. I think that it's okay, or I think you should not stay together because of money and because of kids. But I said it earlier and I'll say it again. If you don't want to be in a relationship, you don't have to be.
That's it.
Right? So move on.
Yeah.
Do it right. You don't have to be vindictive and a prick and an asshole and everything about it. But I do think it's okay to say, like, I want different.
I want happiness for me, and
I want you to have happiness.
And I want you to have happiness. Right. And what we're doing, I feel like I'm robbing you in a way.
And you're robbing me.
And you're robbing me. So let's just be happy in our own little ways. We don't have to hate each other. We don't have to be vindictive. We can still support each other and not be together. If it's going to be more healthy that way, then absolutely.
So my last question for you, or not my last question, but I guess almost, is I would say, back to the car analogy. When is it time to just get a new fucking car?
I think it's just when you know. Yeah, that's so different for people, So at times it's just there and it's obvious. Okay, it's time to get a new car. The head just cracked and we ain't driving this bitch anymore. It's fucking done. So time to move on. Sometimes you can fill up the tires a few times. You know what I mean?
Get a little more life out of it.
Yep, you get a little bit more life out of it, but then when the axle busts, boom, and the tires are just fucking blown, time to move on.
So let me ask you a real question.
Okay.
How many more miles does that Ranger got on him?
Fuck, I don't know. I can't even see the speedometer at this point. I can't even see the miles. But I think it's still got quite a few.
It's a good old dog, isn't he?
It is. Poor fucking Ranger.
So I guess I'm telling anyone out there who's listening that's in a toxic relationship, whether it's a marriage, romantic, friend, whatever,
if
family,
you can fix it, fix that shit.
But do it with the right intentions.
Do it with the right intentions. Do it with the open heart, and do it for the other person as well as you're doing it for you. Try to see from the other person's point of view, and open up. You got to be open. But when it's time to trade that fucking car in, don't hesitate.
Yeah, I'm with you. Do it.
Go get a new car.
Life is short.
Life's too short, man.
So the slogan of this podcast will be, go find your Brookles.
I like it.
So let me finish with this, man. Do you rat a cheater out?
Ooh.
And there's two sides to that. It's a stranger. Do you rat a cheater out? Versus it's a friend or a family
stranger?
member.
Fuck yeah, rat them out.
Rat 'em out.
Fuck yeah, maybe you're helping somebody's life. If it's one of your friends or something, you might want to take a little bit of precaution.
Like you're
I
super
guess.
tight with your brothers. I don't know. Are
Right.
they married? Are any of them married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you knew that your brother was cheating, and please, if you're listening, I'm not saying that his brother's cheating. I'm being hypothetical.
It's all hypothetical.
You wouldn't rat him out.
I'd rat him out.
You'd rat your brother out? That's bold because you'd let
Well,
a train run over you for your brothers.
Well, I wouldn't rat him out, but I'd probably go to him first and be like, "What the fuck, dude?"
And what if he said, "Fuck you, man. Like my marriage sucks. She's a bitch. Whatever. I hate her. I met this chick at the dog park. We have this phenomenal connection. Like I'm in love with her."
Great, but your kids have a mother, and they, you know what I mean. I guess it's all the scenario, But if my brother's wife was cheating on him, I'd tell him too. It goes both ways.
Would you be quicker to rat her out? Oh, would you be like, "Yo, man, I saw your woman at the dog park getting on Alfie"?
Right. I guess so, because blood's blood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, at the same time, I think if not, okay, rat someone out, I'd bring it to their attention. I'm not one to rat somebody out. It's not where I come from. I'm going to talk to the person first and be like, "What the fuck?" But
Knock that shit off.
yeah, knock it off. Cool your shit. Find your values. If that's what you want, then fucking go do it and cut this shit off. But I've never been one for cheating anyway. I would be devastated if I was cheated on. And I don't think I've been cheated on. I haven't cheated on anybody. Aside from, I guess, relationships back being a kid. Maybe I kissed somebody being drunk or something, you know what I mean? But I don't think that I've ever fully cheated on somebody. But I don't know, that's just me. I value all of my relationships. You know what I mean? It's different.
I thought about this question a lot. I mean, obviously it's pretty easy. Like if you had your best friend and you hated his girlfriend and you knew she cheated on him, I mean, I think most people would be like, "She cheated on you."
That's why I say it's a situation.
But at the end of the day too, like part of it is I just like to mind my own business, man.
Yep.
That's like, I want to, what do they call that? Staying in your lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm kind of with you. I'll say openly on the air that I don't condone cheating.
Exactly.
Right. Regardless of how bad the relationship is, and regardless if you like feeling connected to somebody else, I think if one or more people are in a relationship and they are starting to have thoughts about being in love with someone else or wanting to be with someone else or wanting to go get back on Tinder and find someone better, or that fits in their category, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
In fact, that's what I would say. You need to do that. You need to go be happy. But I also think you need to handle your business first.
Yep.
That makes sense.
You got to wipe your ass before you can leave the bathroom. You know what I mean?
God, you got a million of them today.
Hit
me with the frog one again, dude.
Dude, if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass every time it hopped. It's just the way shit is.
I love that.
Well, let me ask you, dude. Okay, given the whole situation, the whole relationship aspect of it, is your glass half empty or half full?
Mine's fucking overflowing.
It's overflowing.
That'll
baby.
be probably the only time that I won't be pessimistic. I got 100% overflowing when it comes to my relationship. And I think most of my relationships, I'll hit a bump and spill some water out of that glass every now and then, but I don't keep toxic relationships. People make fun of me that I'm kind of a hermit, like Brooke all the time. She'll ask me if I want to go, whatever, see friends or do this or do that. I'm like, no, I don't want to hang out with anybody.
Right. I
And that's not me being an asshole. I mean, I have some close people in my life that, I don't have a problem with. But I mean, generally speaking, I only want healthy relationships, and I genuinely work hard for those. And I'm okay when I don't have a healthy relationship. That's not to say my feelings wouldn't be hurt or whatever, but I'm definitely okay if I have a toxic relationship and it just disappears.
Right.
But to answer your question, yeah, overflowing. I got really lucky.
I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, on relationships, basically, I really value all my relationships that I have with everybody. And so, yeah, mine's half or overflowing as well. Half full, baby.
Yeah. So we can't change the name of the podcast.
It's a half full, half full.
Or overflowing.com.
Right.
Dope. It's a Ford fucking Ranger. Well, final thoughts, man. Anything you want to give any shout outs to anybody or?
Oh, just, it's almost springtime. It's still fucking cold. Be careful with going out. There's a million knuckleheads out there that are just doing the same thing you're trying to do. And I don't know. Everybody, I love you out there. Stay healthy in relationships. Be honest with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life's too short for all this dumb shit. And it's been a weird one anyway, so.
Good. Well, I guess my final thoughts would be welcome home, Lando.
Welcome home, Lando.
I missed you, so I'm glad you're home. But beyond that, I just want to just thank my wife for being the most amazing person that anyone could have a relationship with. So with that, I'm going to end it.
Awesome.
Peace out.
Later.